there would be quicker ways to explain what I'm going to say, but I would just want to say how I got to this topic of conversation because hopefully it gives relevance. So I was playing. It's a video game I've been playing quite heavily lately. I just want to get through it because I've tried playing it in the past, never really committed to it. I've enjoyed it, so I'm like, let's just get through this. I've been blasting the shit out of this, playing early hours in the morning. It's crazy, but it's incredible. So literally, but you're like a drifter, really. You're going through. It's called Days Called. It's called the Days Gone on PlayStation. But yeah, you're a drifter, and you literally got certain missions. You have to sort of like take out some camps and all sorts of things. And you got these hordes of zombies, and sometimes just sporadic zombies, and it's worse at night than it is during the day. So anyway, you're doing everything on your terms. It's nomadic, and I'm all for that. I like to do my own thing. It's like I feel free spirited. I think that's probably why I feel gravitated to it. Only in hindsight, as I got further into it. So we've just got to another stage now where you get to this encampment, and it's organised very military-esque. So they've got a colonel, they've got other, so people have to fall in line and be subjective to someone else, and you have to sort of like swear an oath and do all these things. And I was enjoying being the free spirit, like, and I'm getting there. And as the animations play out, like the story, because it's single player, so it's just a story mode. It's the story to the whole thing. And then you've got the person leading them around, telling them, right, you're going to do this. And there's sometimes like maybe a bit of a conflict of interest where your heart wants to do that, but you feel you have to fall in line and do as you're told. It's like, even as the players is naturally walking around without my control because it's a story. I'm like, I am not doing this shit. I don't listen. I don't do that. I'm not doing as he wants. What the hell are we talking about? Why are we following this guy? But I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I just wanted, that was really where the lead on is that I've known in my life anyway, and what I see in general, I often see people in positions of authority, like leaders per se. They are weak-minded people for the most part. The ones I've come across in life have had I don't like putting myself on a pedestal or anything like that. But I think there's natural incidents when you will have to compare. You're going to have to, because it's the only way to logicize anything. You can't possibly just look at someone and think, I'm going to follow this moron, when you can see they have so many flaws and they lack intelligence. They've just gone on an ego trip and they think they're superior because they've been given a position of authority. But I look and think, you're a moron of a human being, and there's no way on earth I'm following you and taking your orders. So it just got me thinking in general, really, is the fact that so many people, they do conform and they do fall in line, and they do follow an idiot. And often, sometimes they suck up to the idiot, which then makes that idiot feel more powerful. And it's like, I struggle with that because I can't be around it. And that takes you on to like traditional jobs in general. You've got the supervisors, you've got team leaders, it goes all the way up to management, the company directors. And I've seen it myself. And I'm not saying every business, but even all the way up to the top, they're stupid as shit. They make terrible decisions. A lot of time there's financial waste. They invest in the wrong things. They don't know what they're doing. They hire morons because obviously they don't know what they're doing themselves. And then people act like anyway, they're completely underqualified, and it trickles down. And then you're having to sort of like do what they want, yet you can see immediately better ways of working. And I'm not saying I could do their job because I wouldn't want to. I don't want the roles they have. It just doesn't interest me. If you're gonna have a business, I'd rather have my own business. You know what I mean? It's like it's ridiculous. But yeah, you can just see the mess, and you're thinking these are the people that are leading us effectively into battle, and it's like I wouldn't trust them with my life at all. So yeah, I just think I think most places of business are toxic environments. It's like, really, I'm not saying every, because I think it's very rare when you walk into a workplace that it's completely organised, it's fair, and it's balanced. I've had some good team leaders along the way, supervisors, and you remember those ones. You think they were good. We know what it comes down to. For the majority of them, it comes down to people skills and humility. If you could be a leader who has intelligence but humility as well, you can relate to people, and you do everything with fairness and integrity. I just think that's the best leader you could have. I think there's too many that posture. They act like, I call it like a peacock. They have to try to posture and show, like, look at me, have a look. And if you don't say what they want, they take exception because it hurts their pride and ego. So now you're a problem because you're not posturing to them. You got to dance for the peacock. Dance for the peacock. I can't do it. I'll have to tell the peacock, you're an idiot. Stop acting like a fool. and you're clearly posturing when there's other things to do. So I'm more the sort of person to point out the flaws, and it's like this, because I don't like working in chaos. I hate it. So if someone is inadequate, it's really hard to listen to them when they don't know what they're talking about. I think it just makes the day longer, makes the day harder. It's like, So the real point, like I said, most of the time you get toxic workplaces because of the culture that's been built by toxic bosses, and that's really what it comes down to. If you had a decent leader, it would create a positive working culture. So a lot of times, if you see a poor working culture, it's their fault. It's the people above fault for creating that culture. They're the ones hiring the people. They're the ones that are setting the tone. They're the ones that are setting the structure and demands on the people, and of course, dictating the wages and all these other factors. And that hinders morale. Some places all they care about is profit margins. Okay, so you're not going to respect the people who earn you the money because you don't really have any value for them. You don't respect them. So you'll offer them the bare minimum you can get. Maybe in some instances offer 0-hour contracts so they have no stability. So they're lucky to be there. A lot of places do that, and then they expect you to be loyal to them. And it's like, well, I don't think that's the right way to handle people, to be totally honest. I personally think you should be paying people enough that they can actually have a decent quality of life. Again, if your business is a brand new startup, okay, your budget's small. You can understand that. Maybe you give, maybe, I think there's an exception to the rule. If you're just starting out, maybe people are prepared to invest in your business. But then that comes two ways. Like maybe you go the extra mile for someone if you have respect for them. If you look at someone and think, I'll follow you to the end of the earth because I respect who you are and I can see you have integrity, and I know, as the business grows, opportunities might be here. It's more like a respect. You can trust them. If anything, success isn't going to change them, and I think that's beautiful. But like I said, you're going to get a lot of companies who are making really good profits, and they just want to keep people small so they can control them better. Whereas I often think it's just like relationships and life in general. You should give people the opportunity to be prosperous, allow them to live a good life, and then give them the flexibility and the opportunity to decide whether this is somewhere they want to work or not. Because if you treat people well enough, rather than worry, I treat them too well, they'll leave, they may just enjoy it enough that they stay. And I think you've got to be prepared to let people go anyway. So again, I think I see some of these jobs as like prison camps. It's unreal, isn't it? And it's like military camps. And it's like, oh my God. Like job I had a year and a half ago. There was a lot of military people were hired for the roles. They were not qualified at all, bear in mind. Just because they had the military background, that's what they were hired based on. And yet they had no background in the industry. They didn't know what they were doing. I had a warehouse manager who his oversight was pallets, empty pallets. It's like we was running out. And we kept moaning about things. We didn't even have proper places to function when we were having to like pack products and work at workplaces. We was like saying we need workbenches. Like we know what we need to do the job. We're qualified. We've got experience. It's a small enough team, but we was all we're all experienced, so we could literally do the job. 5 of us could do the job of 10 people. That's how good we were at all of it though. We could literally just get on. But don't tie our hands behind our back. And it's like we need this, we need that, and it was like bashing your head against the wall. So sometimes, like for instance, we was putting pallets together and then getting some boards, and we was making our own like workspace. And then he'd come down and go, "Oh, that's a good idea." We go, "Yeah, we've been telling you for freaking long enough. We need a freaking bench." And it's only by visualizing it. You can actually, oh yeah, we have to look into getting some benches. It's unreal. There weren't enough forklifts, and I'm saying to him, "You need more trucks." And he's saying, "Do you know how much these cost?" I said, "Does it matter?" I said, "It's the functionality. The whole business relies upon these things. If one of those trucks goes down, now we're at limited capacity. You should always have spare. You've got to have contingencies in place. It doesn't make sense. Don't just have the bare minimum and expect everything to go hunky dory, because that's not how it all works, So like, there's all these little things. Then we was running out of pallets, and I was warning him well ahead of time. I'm like, we're going to run out of pallets at some point, and when we've got no pallets, there's literally nothing we can do. Oh, yeah, take care of it. And then one day he's come down, he goes, "What's going on?" I go, "There's absolutely no pallets." He goes, "What do you mean there's no pallets?" It's like, there's no pallets. We literally run out. You haven't ordered any. We've got nothing coming in. And there was a lot of battles with that. It was unreal. Of course, as time goes on, it evolved, but it was a nightmare to start with. And it just showed, really, for me, it just showed the limited experience. And he was getting overwhelmed a lot. You could tell it was one of those where and I see it a lot, is there's no integrity really. It's very strange. It's like people who are ambitious, they will let people walk all over them, and they'll be like the lapdog because they see opportunity later. And I was like, you're getting called into meetings constantly. You're not running the warehouse. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be. You're the warehouse manager, which means you're going to get, because he was getting criticised for certain things that were going on in the warehouse, for instance, higher up. And he was like always on the go, he was sweating. He was just always, and I said, you're doing this to yourself. You're running around like a lapdog. I said, you need to be firm. I said, if I was doing what you're doing, I said, I would tell the people above, whoever the hell's setting these meetings up, do it in the morning at a certain time, because you can't just jump around to the time schedules they want to do, because they've probably got all day doing all sorts of shit. They should just set it for when it's appropriate for you, because you've got a warehouse to manage. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be judged on what happens here. So if there's problems and things are not working properly, they will hold you accountable to that. So what's the point of just keep freaking jumping around, going to these meetings constantly, and you can't even function? Doesn't make sense to me. Have the backbone to tell them, no, I can't attend all this. I'm here to do the job. And in all honesty, I think people respect you more for that. You're showing leadership, authority, you know. And so he was constantly flustered, and I just thought, I know why you're doing it. You're doing it because you're just trying to be like, so they like you, and then maybe you get opportunities. That's not how it always works, though. Like, you're going to live and die by the quality of your work, surely. So even if you take on all the heat from what they're putting on you and all this shit, but if the job is not being performed to what it should, you're probably going to get removed. So there was like a year later, they was talking about people moving different roles because a new operations manager come in. So a new higher up, he coming in and he's looking at the way it's been facilitated, and he's like, well, I think we got people in the wrong position. So they were going to start moving staff around high up. Like I said, my manager might go and do something else within the business, or may even get removed entirely. Someone in like doing admin and stuff may take his role. It's all sorts of shit. So yeah, effectively, they'll have to apply for their own jobs again. And I said to him, because I got on with him to a degree, but whoever was going to replace him was going to be worse than him. And I did say to him, I said, if it's not you, I'm going to leave. I can't work for this guy. Like one they were considering, I said, if it's him, I'm not working for him. And he thought like it was an endorsement of himself. It wasn't. It was like saying I can't handle the other guy. Even worse. The other guy was someone who doesn't operate forklifts, he don't know nothing, absolutely nothing about the warehouse, and yet comes down and he would sit there. He never did it to me, but he did. But I'm not saying he wouldn't do it to me, but he just never did it to me, because he had like something. He had like a presence about him that was like authority, and it's like he stood by that, because again, army background and shit, it never impressed me. But you still talk to people fairly. I'm not like going my way to be an arsehole to people, but if you're rude to me, I'll say something back. He was never really rude to me, but it's just the way he come across and the way he behaved. But he would say to people, don't do that, and yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? They're just operating the forklift. You don't know how the forklift operates. Just leave them alone and get on with it. It's almost like some people, they go out of their way to dig at shit just to look like they're doing something, and it's like, you're really annoying the staff that are doing the job, though, aren't you? Now, there was a lot of problems within that business, and it's like, that's what I'm saying about it. It was just chaos for a lot of the time. Not saying it is now. Maybe they've changed it and fixed it, but it was chaos. And I've seen it myself. Like, there was another warehouse role I did, and this woman was. I went there. I was only there a short time, and I said to one of the guys, because it's only a very small team of us, very small, and he'd been there a little while, And I said to him, how long has she been here, like the manager? Like, because she doesn't seem to know much. She don't like you listening to her. She doesn't seem to know anything about organising stock, locations, and any of those sort of things. Just the fundamental basics of a functioning warehouse. She didn't seem to know anything. And he said, she comes from banking. I just laughed. I thought, it just seems to be people keep getting these positions who have no background in logistics or warehousing, anything to do with distribution. They get put in positions of power or responsibility, leadership, when they have no leadership skills and they have no background in the industry. It makes no sense to me at all. And it was like, again, she ran out of pallets, funny enough. We had a container coming in, and it was like, we was moaning, you're going to run out of pallets. And it was day come, she had no pallets, and she was like, "What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" It was like, I don't know. It's not my problem. Like, I'm of that mind. If I've got something to do, I'll get it done, and I'll make sure I get it done. I don't like to leave things unfinished, but my responsibility ends with my responsibility, if you like that's not, I don't get paid for that shit. I don't care. If I've got to unload something and there's a pallet, that's my responsibility. I'll do it. If there's no pallet there, I couldn't give a crap how you go and get a pallet. It doesn't interest me. That's administration. That's way. I'm not here to make the company freaking hugely successful. I'm here just to do my role. So, and I think sometimes they think like you take it beyond that. And I think sometimes places take exception when you don't. It's like, that's not my, I don't get paid for that shit, man. That's your problem. You was warned. It's your job. So in the end, she was apparently she had to go out and try asking local warehouses if they had any spare pallets and try to do some deals. They come back with a few pallets, and it was like quite crazy. She must have looked like an absolute idiot in the local area. So how can you be that disorganized? Like I say, I've worked for some idiots, and it does make it sort of like a bit more wary, I think, in general. Like, who is it you got to work for next? Because often it's someone, I don't want to say inferior, superior, or whatever, but they probably got less experience, and they're probably not as intelligent. They probably have no communication skills. They have no humility. You just sit there thinking, God damn, I could do that. But I don't want to be in these positions. I don't want to be an admin. I don't want to be a supervisor. I don't want to be a team leader. I don't want to be a manager. I don't want none of that shit. I spoke to people before in the past saying I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't let me personally, I wouldn't allow the pressure to get that filtered down, and that's how business works. So if you was to be, let's say, team leader, you're going to have to take pressure from your manager. You're going to have to put the pressure on the supervisor, and you're going to have to encourage supervisors then to put pressure on the workforce. So you're always going to keep expecting more and more. Again, it's like slave camps. It's like, I wouldn't do that. I would shield the people below me. So if I was a team leader, I'd shield my supervisors, and by extension, the ones below them. I'd let them know certain things, but I'd say, look, they're expecting this, but I'm telling you, you just do what you can do, but don't, because people have breaking points. If they're working hard and they're doing things right, treat them like human beings. And it's like, that's how I would do it. They're not a statistic, they're not a number, but the way corporations work, business, it's all statistics, it's all numbers, and it bothers me altogether. You lose sight of reality, and that's why I can't possibly consider doing those sort of roles, because I couldn't work for companies doing that. All I ever hear is KPI, and you just want to shove it up their ass. Do you know what I mean? It's like KPI is just it's what it is. It's key performance indicators. So that when people talk about KPIs, they're trying to find rooms within the business where not they hide it under as growth. They're not. They're trying to extract everything they can out of it. So they want to maximize potential effectively. So effectively, they want to push you as far as they can to get everything out of you for that day, even though they're not really paying you that well. So what gives them the right to demand you to be like almost killing yourself on a daily basis for very minimal pay? It's slave labor. Be fair with people. If you do, it's okay. If you as a company don't want to pay more than the minimum wage, and that's okay to you, then expect the minimum. I'm not saying expect nothing, but expect the minimum. But from experience, I've always found the ones that pay minimum wage expect more of people, performance-wise, energy, drain you. They expect you to kill yourself for very little. The more you get paid, the more respect you get. That's how it is in business, in any walk of life. That's how it is. It's like literally, you get paid more, it's more relaxed. It's strange. But the lower you pay, the more you work like a workhorse. But anyway, it goes full circle to the point where, like, don't follow an idiot into battle. Don't follow an idiot, forward in your life journey. Because a lot of time, you're wiser than those you're supposed to follow. And it's like, I can't follow an idiot. It's just not in me at all. So I will literally always walk my own path and do my own thing. And it's just, if it rubs people the wrong way, it rubs them the wrong way. I've got too much integrity, too much confidence in myself to let it go to waste. So I do tend to have problems with people. Sometimes I do. They don't like it. A lot of people like what I find especially within businesses. A lot of time, people want to try to. It's almost like a wild animal. They want to control you. I've had that. They want to tame you effectively because then they can have the glory. They can have that recognition. Really, as I got him under control. I did this. It's like you didn't even need to do that. You just had to be respectful. You don't tame me. I don't get tamed. You just treat me with respect and integrity, and you get the best out of me. And then I respect you for it. But the more you probe and treat with disrespect, and there's no justice, It's like you'll find I'm reactive as shit, and it doesn't go well. But if you're respectful and appreciate, I think, the efforts people go to, you'll get the best out of people. And I think that's just reasonable. But I think too many people, like I said, I think they lower their standards, and it becomes a problem for everyone. Because if you let an idiot think they're powerful, it's like, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to get these ones where you got these supervillains. That's effectively what it is. It's like supervillains in a workplace. But again, if you just put it down to, like, if I just think of the military and things, it's like I can't do that. I mean, I know some people love all that shit, the camaraderie and all that, but I just can't follow people, man. I just can't do it. I'm a lone wolf. I have to do my own shit, and I'm confident like that. It's like I'm good. I could trust myself in a zombie apocalypse. I would trust myself to survive. I definitely wouldn't follow an idiot into a horde. It's like, I'm good, mate. I'm sure I could protect myself, and I could definitely look out for myself. And I think that's the way to think: is are you confident enough to look after yourself, and do you trust yourself enough to make the best decisions? Because I think that goes a long way in life in general. But yeah, inept leadership is quite alarming to me.